All righty. Well, we are live. We are live. Thank you all for joining us here at Pain to Power. I have with me today, right now, Miss Emily,
Hi.
Karen, and Jerome. I would like to
Hello.
let you all know these are some wonderful individuals. They are phenomenal. They are moving forward in the fight to actually assist individuals in domestic violence. It is one thing to be an advocate out here, especially today with COVID-19, where individuals are stuck in a house with their abusers, and some individuals are actually discovering that their partners are abusers. Because they haven't realized the struggle of how hard it has been with the trauma that they've experienced through the stressors of not knowing what to do or how to do it in this day. So please let me begin to first introduce to you Emily. She is going to tell you about herself. She's doing some phenomenal work. She is from Oregon. And Emily, please tell everyone about yourself.
Hi, I'm actually from Vancouver, Washington, but it's right next to Oregon. And I'm working with Sabrina Jones, and I'm working on my brand. And I am going to be writing a book that should be done by the end of the year. And this has been a kind of a dream for me ever since I've been through abusive relationships to help other women with what I went through, with the struggles that I went through. And there's steps to getting out. It is hard. It is very hard being in that situation and feeling like you have nowhere to go. Um, the first boyfriend that I had that ever abused me, um, he he didn't abuse me right away. It took him a while, and actually, it I saw aggressive side of him. I saw a jealous side of him, and that's when I should have ran. That's when I should have ran. But I didn't see the signs. I didn't know. I was very sheltered, and I moved out at 18. So he ended up putting drugs in my Coke bottle. And the abuse started after that. That was a struggle I went through too. I went through a struggle with drugs, and I'm not proud of it. I didn't even know that he put it in my Coke bottle. And when I finally realized there was something going on, because I could feel it, I could feel it. He laughed at me. I just remember him laughing at me, and man, the abuse. The first night of the abuse, I was in my apartment. He had come over. He was high, and we ended up getting in an argument to where he threw me on the ground. Just threw me on the ground, trying to suffocate me. I was reaching for the phone. He pulled the phone out of the wall. I finally got him out of my apartment. And gosh, it's so vivid now that I'm talking about it. That's when my neighbor, bless my neighbor from downstairs, came upstairs. And that's when he backed off, but he spit in my face as I was shutting the door. And the next day I did call the police and press charges against him. It didn't take me right away to be hooked on drugs. It took quite a while after that. But it was just the surrounding of the people that I was with that time. I was making bad decisions with the people I was surrounded with. Eventually I got out of it 4 years later. And oh, it's the truth, pain to power, because it's an everyday step on working on yourself, loving yourself, getting mad. You've got to get mad to get out. And that's what led me to success and being great on my own and knowing I don't need a man to survive. I would like one in my life. That would be great. I'm 39, so I'm writing a book, so I don't want to tell everything, but that's a little bit where I'm coming from. And the sad situation is I was in cosmetology school in 2007. I was doing my homework on the coffee table, and I know this was God. This was God bringing a vision to me. Like, I was doing my homework, and the the sorry, the TV was on mute, and I looked up, and there he was in a courtroom in all orange. He had done the same thing that he did to me to a 14 and a 15-year-old girl, and he raped them. That's when I knew that I wanted to be an advocate, that I wanted to help women, that I wanted to use the pain and the bad experiences that I went through to help others as much as I possibly can.
Well, thank you, Karen. And I know sometimes, but once again, you overcame that. You are out of it, and that's the most important thing. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
I truly do.
Absolutely. Yes,
Jerome,
yes, yes, yes.
all right. Introduce yourself,
I'm Roman
Jerome.
Rome. We ain't got to be so formal. We all family around here. We ain't got to be formal.
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
I'm a police officer in Maryland. I've been one for quite a long time now. I'm a domestic violence advocate. I'm going through all kinds of training for it. I wait outside of my job on my own to actually become an official certified advocate. Not far off from achieving that. Just probably maybe one more class and I'm good. I got into it one for my job, seeing it all day, every day, seeing the victims go through what they go through, and the abusers, but more so the kids. You know, I see the children's faces when their mothers all bleeding and bloody and crying and bleeding. You know, so it's just a sad situation. But my sister was actually murdered by her child's father some years back, and I think that's what catapulted me into this field to try to keep somebody else's sister from dying and keep their mothers from crying and you know keep the pain from uh, passing around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but
Absolutely.
I'm fighting hard for the survivors, for the victims, and even for the abusers because they need help.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
the abusers need help. So, try my best to when I'm able to talk to them, when they're able to listen, you know, to talk to them,
Hmm.
try to get them to see the error of their ways, and you
Right.
know, let them get some help. So that's
Yeah.
who I am, and that's where I'm going with it.
Well, thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Thank,
appreciate it.
thank, can't say it enough. And being one of the good ones at that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm one of the best ones out there. I
Absolutely.
take pride in
Good for
that.
you.
I don't like to toot my own horn, but I take pride in that. I'm one of the funny thing is real quick. Somebody told me today that talked through to Instagram for a bracelet, and long story short, she said you don't remember me, but you pulled me over a while ago. My tags was bad, and she went on to a story about how I looked at her like she was crazy when she said that she was on her way to go get them. And she said, I was nice to her and I let her go. I don't remember that. I pull people over all the time.
Hmm.
But that's just my nature. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just who I
Absolutely.
am. But I said that to say you never know who you're going to deal with later on in life.
That's right.
So you
Yeah.
always got
True.
to treat people well, you know? And that's what I
Hmm.
stand on. I try to be fair and consistent in my job, in my day-to-day life.
Right.
So
And thank you for that.
Thank
absolutely.
you. Treat others
Yes,
the
ma'am.
way you want to be
Thank
treated.
you.
Absolutely. All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Karen, introduce yourself. Tell us about your organization as well.
Well, my name is Karen Lewis, and I am an advocate for domestic violence, which I will be an advocate for domestic violence for the rest of my life. Um, I have two daughters. God blessed me with two children, and both of them are daughters. And my youngest one was 27 at the time, 8 months pregnant, and her boyfriend stabbed her 56 times, which caused me to lose my daughter and what would have been my very first grandchild. And I decided I'm going to be an advocate from that point on for the rest of my life. because I was already a victim of domestic violence when I married before I married my children's father, but I still married him anyway. And he was abusive to me before I even married him. So why I did that, I will never know. Well, I left my husband when my children were 4 and 7 because he was very abusive. He was not just abusive by being a drug user, he was abusive by being physically abusive to me. He was verbally abusive to me, and he was verbally abusive to my children. Now, God does give us a common sense, and we know enough is enough when enough is enough. So I have a problem with a lot of people when they get to calling the victim stupid and ignorant. Why are they staying there? Why didn't they leave? Leave. You can't judge a person. You have to know that. All the victims I deal with, I let them know no one has the right to judge them because they can be judging you, but they might have been through something themselves. So I teach our victims, not to be worried and have fear about the abuse that they've gone to and why they stayed. But I left when my children were 4 and 7 from domestic violence to get away from my abusive husband. And I thought because my children were so young when I finally decided to walk away from that marriage at the age of the 4 and 7 that it would never happen to them, only to lose my uh, youngest child from domestic violence. So it's heartbreaking. It is my baby has been gone 6 years now, but I still go through grief every day. I don't think it'll ever get easier on anybody. You might be able to learn to deal with it, to cope with it, and work with it for the rest of your life. But the grief is still there. I don't care how people say, well, I got over it. She's gone. She's been gone this long. I'm okay. No, that's not the truth. And I am a biblical counselor, have been a certified biblical counselor since July 10th of 2010. And I just believe in helping people. I will always help victims, and the Angel House is our organization, which we opened up due to the loss of my child. I do a domestic violence walk every year, and the Angel House, what we do there is we assist victims to escape their abusers faithfully every day. And my thing is, if I can just save one life, I will be all right. But I have been able to save a different amount of lives, a different amount each year. 2017 was my biggest year. I was able to save 17 victims and get them out of Michigan to other states to start a fresh new life for themselves. And that's my biggest goal, to get these victims away from their abusers without their abusers knowing where they're going. So our organization, we try to raise money every day through fundraisers so that I will always have money to purchase train, plane, and bus tickets to get those victims from one state to another. Although they have to go to another to a shelter, whatever state we send them to, there temporarily until they can find housing and jobs. And most likely, the shelters I send them to, they have programs to train them to prepare them from work. They help them get jobs, even if so what if you might have been a lawyer here in Michigan and you have to go through a shelter to get away from your doctor husband who's abusive? You might have to be a housekeeper. You might have to be a janitor. But the thing is, you're starting your life over fresh to become a new person to take care of you and your children. So that's what our biggest goals are is to help victims get established with a fresh new start in life.
Well, thank you for what you do,
Yeah.
Karen. I so greatly appreciate
Absolutely.
you
Thank you,
can
man.
be connected with people
Thank
and
you.
you still don't know the depth of everything, because even though I knew who you were and what you did, I did not know your story.
Yes.
I
Well,
wanted to tell you.
you can also get my story. I wrote a very small book, and it's called No More. Love Shouldn't
Mhm.
Hurt, and you can get that on Amazon. And that tells you that abuse, sometimes people don't realize it, but it's a generational thing. Just
Yeah.
like I was brought up in a house with two alcoholics, my mother and my stepfather. They were both alcoholics. They were fighting all the time, partying all the time. Both of them had good jobs, one at Chrysler, one at General Motors. So it wasn't that those three children were wanting for anything back at that time. We were being raised by two functioning alcoholics. They went to work every day. They fought every weekend. You know, we had to see that. They partied every weekend. We had to see that. So when I met my husband, believe it or not, he was my mailman, and I really should have left him out there delivering mail, but no. I picked that mailman up, started dating him, ended up marrying him, having children by him. And after being with him for 13 years, I said enough is enough, because if he's doing this now to me and my daughters, our little babies seeing this, they're going to think it's all right for their husbands or their boyfriends to do it to them. So I thought I was breaking this generational cycle by getting my children out of it. But then when my daughter was murdered, I went back into a shell, holding myself responsible for my daughter's death, because I felt like she didn't have a male role in her life. Neither one of my daughters. I didn't date. I dated one time during the time that I was divorced. People talk about me for being celibate all this time, but it was about raising my daughters, having my daughters have a good life, to know how to be treated, to know how to live in life. And I've always told the girls that whether you have a boyfriend or a husband, you still need your education, because if that individual decides to walk away, or God forbid, if your husband dies, you still have to be able to take care of yourself. So I think I did an okay job with my daughters. One is residing in Arizona right now, and she has a good job there. She was a high school dropout, but she still went back and got her high school diploma and went on to um, college. So I'm proud of her too. And my daughter that passed away, she went to school and became a CPA, and she moved to Texas. And that's where her life was taken from her at, is in Texas. She wasn't here with me in Michigan. I wasn't able to hold my child in my arms while she was leaving this earth. You know, I had to get a call from the police department in Texas to tell me that my child was deceased.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry, both of you, that you had that loss.
Thank you.
thank you.
So sorry. See,
Uh,
I had great parents. I didn't need to be around these men. I didn't need to be around people like that. And but it was a brainwashing thing. Like, oh, they don't care about you. You know, you don't have anywhere to go. You're all by yourself.
and see,
And
that's what happens, honey. These men, well, I'm not talking about every man, because all men are not bad. But the
no,
abusers, they
definitely not.
will bring your self-esteem down. And the faster they see they can bring your self-esteem down, they're going to get you to do drugs and alcohol, or get out there and sell your body to make them happy.
Exactly.
But it's all your fault. It's not theirs. I want
Oh
you to know
no.
that's what they think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, with today, with everything that's going on, I think the most important thing is, like you stated, Karen, where does it begin? Where do you begin to teach and educate your children about domestic violence? How do you keep them from actually having to experience it or encounter someone in with that mentality? And I believe it begins in our own actions. Unfortunately, we have developed so many different um, beliefs that we believed in with when a little boy hits a girl, oh, it's okay. He likes you. It means he likes you. It's okay. It's acceptable. But that's teaching them that it's okay instead of saying it's not okay for anyone to put their hands on you.
No.
You know, there's a proper way of doing things. There are ways that we need to begin to think differently and begin to teach our children differently and exemplify those things differently into our children as well. We can't tell them don't let somebody belittle you when you're cursing your child, when you asking them are they stupid, you
Well,
know,
okay,
then
you have to know it starts from the home. And I don't know about
Absolutely.
you being an advocate, but I'm able to go into these elementary schools, junior highs, all the way up to the universities. And I speak to these little babies. And I ask the little boys, why did you pull her hair? Why did you push her into the
Mm,
locker? But they see it at home. So they think
yes.
because their mother's boyfriend or their father is abusing their mom that they could go to school and do it to the little girls that they think that they like. And that's just, like I say, got to get to the root of all of it. And it's a generational thing. People say it's not, but it is. It's a
It
generational
does
thing.
pass on. If you look back in a lot of people's past that have experienced domestic violence, it has passed on. There are
Yeah.
very few cases where as though those individuals had not had a parent or relative that had experienced domestic violence.
Yes.
So,
Jerome, when you go
yep, that's
wrong,
all good. Go ahead.
when you go out, I know a lot of times, most of the times when you're actually interacting with those individuals on site, that is generally a more it's a more toxic environment. It's not something that is not calm.
Right.
What is the thing that you generally encounter when you all get a domestic violence call? What is generally the process of things, the atmosphere that you all are introduced to when you arrive?
Uh, Most times, for the most part, it's gonna sound crazy, but it's calm when we get there. It's like an eerie calm, and I hate that. But I'd rather walk in and it's gonna sound weird, but I'd rather walk in and see them fighting or yelling, only because at that point I can calm things down. But
Mhm.
when I walk into it and it's already calm, somebody's gonna snap, and you don't know which one it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
so that's just from doing it for a while. That's what I've noticed. So what I do is I go in, my partner and I, we try to get them separated. I talk to one, they talk to the other one. And then we come together, my partner and myself come together and figure out what's going on with the stories match. We look
Mhm.
for signs of abuse, signs of struggle. We look around the house to see if anything was knocked over, things like that.
Right.
See where the kids are. That's number one. Where are the kids? If they can get to another room safely, while we talk to the parents. We try to come to some sort of resolution. You know, I do a little counseling session in there to see if somehow they can talk it out and voice their opinion. 'Cause sometimes people just need to talk, and you can't talk when somebody's always yelling. Because and one person might think that this person is talking down on them when this is just how this
Mhm.
person expresses themselves. They're not
Right.
necessarily talking down on them; they're just trying to express themselves, but the other person can't take that. So I try to give them a play mediator, let them talk it out, and to the best of my abilities, and see what the underlying issues are, and try to go from there.
Mhm.
I think my main goal is try to figure out the underlying issues and build off of that. Because once you can figure
Right.
that out, then you can see where everything else branches off, and you can try to see how we can solve that issue. And a lot of
Mhm.
times that's when they recognize the underlying issue, then they can talk about it amongst themselves. But
Right.
the main thing for me when I go on these things is try to you know talk. It's a lot of talk. People just need a lot of counseling. I'm not
Mhm.
necessarily a counselor, but they it gets heated. Like, and as of late, because of the Corona lockdown, we have an
Right.
uptick in domestic violence, and people are finding out the people they've been dating they not who they thought they were. You know,
Say it again.
some of them
Say
still
it.
They turn into monsters.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they stuck in the house with them for instead of 8 hours now they stuck in the house with them for 16. You know,
Mhm.
so
Right.
they're used to leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back, doing their thing, going about their daily life, but they're not really used to being with that person fully. So they don't really know that
Absolutely.
person. Yeah. So and it's spreading off into their children as well. They don't know they didn't know their kids with that child. They're seeing that
Absolutely.
when the teachers was calling home, that's what they was really calling home about. That's what that child is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of it's on the rise right now. Hopefully, it could be a good thing and a bad thing depending on how you look at it. I think it's a good thing because you're seeing who this person is, and you have a chance to make your exit. You know, before it gets worse, you have a chance to reevaluate your life, your situation. You know, to do better for yourself now. So for when the doors finally open for us to go outside, you can really start making moves to better the whole entire situation.
Yeah,
That's
I can't
interesting.
imagine being in an abusive situation during this. My
This
abuse
is a,
happened back in 2000. So, and for about 4 years, I dated some really, and I really appreciate, Karen, you saying, not blaming the victim, because I got a lot of that from my friends at the time. And I was naive and I felt I was brainwashed. I wasn't myself.
it was most
And
likely true.
yeah, yeah.
Most likely true because I noticed a lot of that. I noticed I went to a call, man, and it was it was they were foreigners. I can't. They was from. I can't remember exactly where they were from. India or somewhere over that way. And she she was terrified. She didn't have any money. I was like, well, I was explaining to her how I can help her get out of this situation. Well, at least try to with people to talk to. She's like, I have no money. He controls all the bank's assets.
Mhm.
He has a business. His business is in her name. So I'm like, ma'am, you have 100% rights to that business.
Yeah.
No, no, I can't do anything. I can't. He gives me $20 here and there. So he was controlling a car. He was controlling her finances. She had to stay
Mm-hmm.
in the house. They didn't have any little kids. So it's not always about the physical abuse. It's not
Right.
always about that. It's about getting in your mind. You get into her mind, then they think they own you. You know, and they're afraid to
Right.
do anything else. They're terrorized. You know,
Right.
because
Mm-hmm.
they have no money to
Emotional,
go anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah,
Emotional abuse can be just as bad as physical
I think it's
abuse, if
worse,
not
honestly.
worse.
I
Yeah,
think it's worse
Well, it is
it is.
worse.
Yeah, yeah,
because
definitely.
emotional abuse will drive you to kill yourself.
Yeah,
You know, you can shake somebody hit you in the ribs, you shake that off 30, 40 minutes, depending. You know what I mean? Going about your day. But somebody start hitting you in your mind, that sticks with you and plays on you
yeah,
constantly. You know, it's
yeah,
trauma. It's
Right.
traumatizing. And it
yeah.
causes you to
Well,
do
the
things that you
reality of
don't
it
want to
is, right, and the reality is that that one physical abuse, it happens, but once the wounds are healed, you are still left with dealing with that emotional abuse, that the mental part of it, the traumatic part of it, that is still you're still fighting through. Now
do.
you're
Yep.
trying to understand, can I get out? Because a lot of times individuals, they escape, but they still have not mentally escaped that situation. They're still in it. They're locked into a wall. They're I can't go anywhere. They have these limitations that they don't even realize that they're no longer bound by that individual, but they still are mentally. So it takes a longer process to be able to help them to even get through and heal and understand that you really are free,
Yeah.
that you don't have to continue to feel like you have to be locked down and you don't can't touch your money, you can't go anywhere, you can't say the things that you need to say, express yourself and how you feel. That's so important. But that's one of the greatest things that we deal with individuals who are victims of domestic violence. Karen, what is your opinion?
I'm just gonna give you all a scenario here because financial people don't believe that finance can cause abuse, but finance can cause abuse.
Yes, it
And
can.
I've had a woman, she was a RN, and she married one of the doctors that she worked with. She let him talk her into quitting her job, and he was gonna supply everything. He was a heart surgeon, so he didn't make pennies. But what that did when she allowed him to take over her life by telling her to quit her job, see, she already had a career, and he started taking over everything. He started controlling her. He could not just control her; he controlled the finances, And sometimes she didn't even have money to go out to dinner, to take her mother out to dinner. Her dad was deceased, and she couldn't even take her mom out to dinner because she actually had no funds. He shut her bank account and stuff down. So you have to be aware of that control spirit, because that controlling spirit is out there where they will control you, not just of your finances, but they will control you to bring your self esteem down. It is, you got to be careful. You really got to be careful. You got to know the signs to look for when it comes to abuse. Like I say, everybody is not bad. Some people fall into that being abusive because they're listening to what their buddies do, and they know they've never been that type of man before in their life, but they want to be more so like their buddies. They pick up their habits and then end up turning on the woman that they really love. So you got to be careful. That's all I can say. You have to be careful. And another thing too, a lot of people do this internet dating. That's something I've never been interested in, internet
Bad
dating.
idea.
And my daughter that's deceased, that's what she did. She did internet dating. She met this guy, I think it's called catfish or fish catch something, that
Plenty
she
of
met
fish.
him on.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
plenty of fish.
plenty of
Plenty of
fish.
fish. That's the one
plenty
of
of
the
fish.
worst
Yes, yes,
sites.
yes. So when I'm in the
Yeah.
courtroom, 15 months after she's been deceased, I am in the courtroom and I am in total shock because both of my daughters know I don't like that internet dating because one, you never know if that person is telling you the truth about their background. But a lot of people they have good success with it. So everybody says, Karen, just because you lost your daughter from that, don't knock it because it's been great for a lot of people. Well, I'm not knocking it, but I know it took my daughter's life. And when we were in that courtroom, they found her journal in her apartment and they were reading it. And she said how she had met him. She only knew him 10 months, guys. She only knew him 10 months and he had taken her life. She was 8 months pregnant by him. So, you know, she got pregnant by him really fast. So she was dating this guy. She thought that he had been out of the military and he was looking for a job. Come to find out in the courtroom, when they read that page in her diary, the a prosecutor couldn't do anything but look at that abuser up on the stand and say, "Why would you tell her something like that? You've never been in the military a day in your life." When my daughter was believing that this man had been in the military, served 4 years, and he had just gotten out.
Oh,
Well, and I'm like, this is a college educated girl. I cannot believe that she would fall for something like that. But I can't hold that against my child now. She's gone. So you never know what you're getting into with the internet dating. So I'm saying be safe with that too. One thing about me, I tell any victim that comes to the Angel house, if you don't know how to do a background check on somebody and you sure this is who you really want to date, call us. We'll do that background check because it's better for you to be safe than sorry.
Hmm.
I finally just learned how to do background checks. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we do background checks too. We do a 50 state background check, a global
Hmm.
one, because of the fact that one, you go in one state, they may not have something, but they may have something in another state.
Yeah.
But you said something that was key regarding dating, but let me just kind of twist it around for a moment, because one thing, the individuals, when they talk about domestic violence, they're always talking about the abuse that is actually done by the male. We never talk too much about the female.
They're just
And
as
there are
bad.
a lot of
They can be just
females
as
that
bad.
are, yes, that are very abusive. Um, the one crazy thing is that with females, they start doing things, especially stalking, where they may get their girlfriends to follow that person or call that person, and things of that nature. And they find it funny, and it can pass on to somebody as a laughing matter. But the reality of it is that that's still abuse. You're still stalking them. You have women who they abuse that man, and that male don't want to report it because they feel, am I a man if I'm going to report it? How what am I look like if I go tell somebody that this woman is beating me or she being verbally abusive to me?
Well, Ava, that's
Jerome, what is your take?
absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. What were you saying, Karen?
I'm saying that's absolutely right. I was a social worker for 26 years for the state of Michigan. And after my daughter passed away, I chose to retire. But I had a case. The woman was getting SSI, and the husband was not working. And every time her husband got a job, she would physically abuse him so that he could not keep his job and they would be able to stay on the welfare system. All that's a part of abuse.
Hmm.
I had another case
Yeah.
where the man, he just did not want to report this woman. He ended up in the hospital several times. From her because one time she was ironing a shirt or something. I don't remember what the article was, but she was ironing something, and he said something she didn't like it. That woman bucked him in the head with that hot iron. He ended up with 10 stitches in his head, but he refused to press charges, and his reason was he didn't want his kids taken away from him. But you don't love a person so much when you actually have to hurt them. And what we needed him to understand, although this may be a female doing this abuse to you, sometimes you love her, but for you and your kids' safety, she might need to be arrested and locked up, and you and your children get away to a safe and fresh start for yourselves. Because if those kids are seeing their mother abuse you, what are your sons going to think a man is supposed to be when they grow up?
Right.
I
Absolutely.
I had to come to the conclusion that um, the relationships that I were in that were abusive, they didn't love me. That's not love, and
That's right.
it's not love. That somebody who would do that to you is it's not love.
No.
That's somebody trying to gain power over you, keep you in a place. Yeah,
That's exactly what it is.
yeah.
Trying to gain power and keep it
It
in place.
is.
It's never love.
And I think one of the main things that women should keep in mind who are in abusive situations, it's time to get mad. Because when you get mad, you get things done. You get mad at that person, it's easier to leave than feeling like, oh, you need them. You need that person. Oh, he was just mad, or um that's where I gained my strength is from being mad, just getting mad and getting out. Yeah.
That's a good
Yes,
job. Because
but unfortunately, some of the times individuals don't understand what they're in.
Yeah.
They're so controlled by the individual, and we have to look too at the background of a person, of what has even allowed them to accept this, what made it become acceptable in their life, whereas though they were okay with it and
I
they
was
didn't want
very
to leave.
sheltered. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I was
that's a lot of
very
things.
sheltered, very sheltered.
Scared, haven't received the love that they wanted, or either their parents was abusive to them. I know I myself, I come from an abusive background. My father was an abuser. You know, so you look at trying to figure out what in the world happened. As I tell individuals, I was groomed for abuse. When you have an individual who he's raising you up and teaching you things that you shouldn't do and controlling you, that was preparing me for my abuser. That I'm thinking, this is my father, I love him, but when you walk in the house and you didn't and somebody take you or something happened and you don't get the chance to even explain, the first thing that person your father does is punch you in your stomach. Like, what do you prepare yourself for? You don't understand those things. There are several different individuals who have been beaten and abused by their own parents, and when they walk out the door, they think it's okay. And then you
Hmm.
have some individuals who become that abuser because now they're saying, I'm not going to let nobody do this to me. So now they become the abuser. They've been abused, but now because they say, I'm not going to let this happen, they're ready to fight. The first thing that happened, they're fighting. That person might not have even been in the process of even putting their hands on them, but
Hmm.
because of the trauma that they've endured, now they're fighting, but they're fighting the wrong person because they haven't been healed. they're still dealing with things. I mean, it's kind of like what we're experiencing right now with everything that's going on with George Floyd. You know, this is it's trauma. People have seen so much happen to other individuals, and they're saying, "What can I do?" And not only that, it wasn't just him; it was them, their trauma, things that they have experienced, and now people are now reacting to that trauma. You know, so what do you do with it? It comes because individuals are unhealthy. They
Yeah.
haven't healed.
Right.
So when you don't have that healing, you're gonna have that continual instances that will actually bring triggers into a person's life. Because when this thing went nationwide, the first thing that hit people began to think about what they experienced. What
Mm-hmm.
can I do? Now I'm afraid of if I try to go out and I do something. Now the fear is not just for me. Now the fear is for my children.
Yes.
But in just as much as with that, one of the greater instances with individuals who experience domestic violence is the fact that most of the times women will endure whatever they're enduring, and even men. But when that violence begin to turn on the children, that's what makes them say, "Okay, I'm not going to do this. Enough is enough. Yeah, I could probably take that beating, but not my kids, not
Yes.
my kids."
I've seen it, man. I've seen it. I've seen last right before we went into the lockdown. Had a case where a guy beat his girl and then punched the 2-year-old in the mouth. It was her
Oh
son.
no.
Yeah, her son. And I had another one
Did he go to
where
jail?
he wasn't there, but we ended up getting a warrant. He ended up getting locked up. I think like the next day, 2 days later, something like that. For that,
Yeah.
had another one where it was a couple of months back. A young lady, she called. We got there. She said, "No, I didn't call." I knew something was off. I knew she called, but if she's telling us she didn't call, then then it's nothing we can do. So we left. I kind of hung around in the area because I knew that call was gonna come back. Sure enough, maybe 30, 40 minutes later, the call came back out. We got there. She's bloody this time. He had hit her. I said, "So why didn't you tell us the first time?" I was scared because he was here, and I said, "It's okay. We could have locked him up the first time." This time he had left. He had left the scene. He had hit her. I think he had messed her hand up a little bit, punched her in the face. She had a 7-year-old boy, I think, 8-year-old. He kicked him. So that was her child. He
Mhm.
kicked him. So it's like, so I was like, she was said that, when she hit my son, I just couldn't take it anymore. So I called. But I, you got to stop putting yourselves in that position. I tried to talk to them and tell them, a lot of these guys, they don't want the whole package. They want
No.
you for what you got to offer for right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They don't have anything vested in that child. They don't have anything vested, so they don't care. And I was pissed. Both incidents. The first one I told you about, man. I stayed out there for a while looking for this dude. I think man, I don't know what I would have done if I saw him, because the little kid was 2 years old, man, and his mouth was all bloody, and like, damn, why would you hit what are you gonna hit a kid for? Like,
Romy
it's one
Rome,
nothing to the mom. And the little kid told us everything that happened. He wasn't
He was
crying.
I
He was
invested
agree
in
with you.
himself.
I
He was
totally
just
agree
invested in
with you.
himself.
so
Mm-hmm.
they don't they these a lot of these guys they don't want the total package. They just want what they can get from you for right now. They don't care
Mm-hmm.
about the kids. They don't care about life. You know, and if he hits you in front of your child, he's going to continue, and eventually it's going to go
Oh
down to your
yeah.
child, because that's not
Mm-hmm.
his kid.
Absolutely.
He has nothing vested in that child. He don't care.
Yeah.
And a lot of them
It's,
don't care
it's hurt.
wrong with it if it is their children.
Yeah,
Well, I was
yeah,
going to ask you too, Jerome.
yes,
Have you noticed that a lot of these young girls are taking these guys that have been released from prison and let them come into their home? They don't know nothing about these guys.
yep,
They have children, and then those guys end up taking their kids' life while they at work.
yep.
You
This
know,
is
I
a
see it
case
on the
not too
news.
long ago that happened. This dude killed this. He killed. He. I think he. She died from blunt force. It was a little girl. She died from blunt force trauma. The dude beat the girl, beat the little baby.
While the
Wasn't
mama was at work.
I believe or sleep or something like that. She wasn't around.
Mm,
But I, I think it's so many of these females are looking. They're looking for what their idea of love is. They don't want to
yeah,
be alone. They
Right,
want somebody, and it's and
yeah,
it's
right.
it's killing me because it's okay to be alone. It's
yeah,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
okay
yeah,
It
to be
is.
alone. It's
It
yeah,
perfectly
is.
fine to be alone.
And if I could chime in,
But they
one
don't know how.
what one good thing is to learn to love yourself.
yes,
Learn to
Right.
love yourself. Do things for yourself that make you feel good about yourself.
that's correct.
Find things
Absolutely.
that you love that are about you. It's okay to be selfish once in a while,
Yeah,
especially
Hmm.
when you've been in a position like that. It's okay to focus on yourself and be single for a while.
Yes,
have to
Right.
because you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself first.
Exactly.
yeah,
Can't do it.
Exactly.
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 It ain't gonna work.
Exactly.
You got to find your own peace. You got to be okay with being alone because once you're
Yes.
finally okay with being alone, you know you're not gonna accept anything. When you start
Exactly.
settling, that's when things go bad.
Yep.
I said,
Yeah,
man, I would never settle like the only place I ever settle and that you should settle is in court. That's it.
Mhm.
Or settle on a house. But that don't settle in a relationship with your life
No.
because that
Well,
person
I
is not
think
worth
people
that.
have to. Yeah, and people have to begin to have a relationship with themselves first.
Yeah.
They don't know about themselves. A lot of
Nope.
times people, they have not gotten the chance to know who they are, what they like, what they want. So how can you expect for somebody else to give you what you don't know to give your own self? You have to
exactly.
understand what your need is and who you are, what you want. And people need to understand love, you have boundaries. Love is boundaries. You can't love. People think about, oh, I'm gonna love you unconditionally. Well, first of all, love is conditional. There are conditions with love.
Yeah.
A condition of just how much you want to take, what you're willing to accept in your life, and you have to know what those conditions are. And before you can know what they are, you can't get in a relationship and then try to figure them out. You
Right.
know,
Right.
What a mess.
you can't. Right? You can't wait until you're in a relationship and say, oh, well, no, I don't want this. It's just as individuals, they get in relationships, and the first thing somebody say is, well, I don't want kids. But that individual accepts that for themselves. I'm going to accept this. But then they think that they can change that individual's mind. But that
Yeah.
person knew
Exactly.
what their boundaries were. I don't want kids. But then they're going to now force the person to have a child, or better yet, sneak and do other things to not help guard themselves to have that child, and then get mad because that individual didn't want the child. We have to remember, you can't force things on people. Know what you
That's
want
right. Yeah,
and respect other individuals' boundaries of what they don't want. If that's not something that that individual want and you want, then that person isn't for you.
Yeah.
mhm,
You're right. And it's funny you said that example because I don't have kids, and I've dated some women. I can't call it date, but I've talked to them and they said, "Well, I don't want kids." That deaded it for me right there. And but then they're like, "Well,
Hmm.
we can still be friends, or let's try and see what happens." Nah, I'm not even going to do that because the moment you get pregnant, you don't want that child already. It's already in your mind. It's going to be a bad situation for both of us. So
Absolutely.
because I'm gonna be putting out more than you are because you didn't want that in the first place, and I'm never going to try to change anybody ever because you
Hmm.
can't change people. People
No.
change
that's right.
themselves. You'll never be able to
Right.
change anybody. So I'm not out here to try to change you. I'm not gonna try to change your mind. If you don't want kids, you said that. Okay, you spoke it. So I'm just
Right.
gonna let me keep it moving. I'm okay. I'm perfectly fine with being alone. I'm never
Me
lonely.
too.
I'm never
Me
lonely. I might be
too.
alone, but I'm never lonely. So it's it's,
Yes.
Absolutely.
it's a difference. So I just wish a lot of women would take the time to understand that it's okay to be alone. It's all right.
Yes,
Yes.
You don't have to
it
be just
is.
because society say you need to be married by 30 with kids and man, to hell with all
And
that.
yeah, you see, in this age, a lot of people aren't getting married anymore.
Nope.
They're just in a relationship with somebody but they're not getting married.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that
Hmm.
going around. So So
Well,
I can't
let me
have
tell you
kids,
what I say
but
that is. That is sexation without relation and no type of dedication. That's what that
Yeah.
is. They
Preach,
do not care.
preach.
There, there is no, they don't even know who that person is. And I can't even understand it. The one of the most important and vulnerable things that you could ever do is have sex with somebody.
Yeah,
But they're willing to open open themselves up in that aspect and don't know anything about that individual.
yeah. It's a lot of it.
So
It's a lot
yes,
of it.
it's a
But
lot of
I
it.
don't. What can you do? I mean, is I'd rather I'd rather somebody not get married than get married and regret it. You know,
exactly.
Absolutely.
I'd
Yeah.
rather than
True.
It's just in the day and the
True.
time we live in now. Marriage is more so a business. It's a business move.
It is.
So if somebody's going to get married just to settle or just to say that for a title, you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
unhappy. There's going to be a lot of unhappiness. There's going to be a lot of domestic situations. It's going to be a lot of financial hardships. So it's
Yeah.
just
Absolutely.
That's one thing that my mom has helped me with is I don't need a man to, and I don't need a man to support me. And
Mhm.
that's why I want to focus on my career. I want to get a foundation for myself. And um, that is independence. And um, yeah, I'm happy being by myself right now.
ain't nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
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 That's a good thing.
Ain't
Well,
nothing
And
wrong
Emily,
with
I'm
that at
tell
glad
all.
me,
that you're
tell
on
me.
the show today because um,
Yes.
we need different races on this show, Ava. And I'm so glad because a lot of people think that abuse just comes with black families. It does not. It's with the
Not at
white
all.
families. It's with the Hispanic families. It's with
Yes,
the
it is.
what do you call those people? I'm sorry. It's with all different cultures archers
Yes, it
out
is.
here, and people just try to make it look like the black people have been killing each other all their lives with this domestic violence stuff. It's not just the black family.
No, it goes
Absolutely.
all around, all
Yeah,
Yeah,
races.
That is
yeah,
so true. That
it's
is so true. Well, Emily,
yeah.
tell us about your book. Tell us about, I know that you said that you're working on your book and you're preparing. When does it due? Do you have a due
Um,
date?
I should have it done by the end of the year.
Okay.
We don't have an exact date yet. It's my first book. So
Wonderful.
yeah, and
Congratulations.
I have a ton written down already. And a lot of it that I'm struggling on is memory because at that time I was using drugs. And so it comes to me more and more when I write. I'm a writer just like my mother. And that's my passion is
well, that's mine
writing.
too. I'm being welcome. Hey, buddy, that's
Yeah,
what I do as
Yes,
well. I'm a writer.
hey.
yes, too. I love writing.
So I'm really excited about it. And also I'm thinking about doing a makeup line in all shades of purple. And
All right, my
I want
queen.
proceeds to go to women and children, and housing for them. And we have some other ideas that we're going to be coming up with next year. But right now, we're just going to stick with the book and then the makeup line.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
and just
I would
work my way
definitely
up.
support
Wonderful.
that makeup line.
Yeah,
Definitely, I would push that out there.
yeah,
I like that idea.
Yeah.
yeah.
So just let
I
me
do
know.
know
We're
that
gonna
we're going to do nail polish in all colors of purple,
yep,
and I wanted to call it
great.
warrior paint. Warrior paint. So
Warrior paint.
Ah, perfect.
yeah,
I love it. Well, look, you're gonna have to let me know as soon as we get it because we will share it on our site to
thank you.
promote. There's some things that I definitely want to put in place soon, but definitely want to know about your line and your book as soon as you get it.
Will do.
Um,
Yeah, we'll let
yes,
you know.
let us know. Put up that website.
Oh, I
Get the
will.
link.
Yeah,
Link over
yeah.
to me, and
Okay.
we will stay in touch. We definitely will.
Thank you.
Jerome, tell us what you're doing because I know even though you're a police officer, you're still an advocate, but there are some things I know that you're working on in the background regarding domestic violence.
Yeah, I'm last year I did a I guess the largest thing, well, the second largest thing I've done in the domestic violence field was I did a fundraiser to get bears for the kids of domestic
Uh-huh.
violence. Um,
Right.
yeah, so like I told you guys about the little boy that was crying. I mean, the 2-year-old that the boyfriend hit. That kind of catapulted me the idea into my head to do this. Actually, I got one right here. I went to
Uh-oh.
I went to Build a Bear, and
Uh-huh.
I got
Oh,
like
Oh.
what did I get? I got 50 of them, I think. I
Uh-huh.
raised enough money. I did a GoFundMe. It's called Pause for the Cause. And
Oh,
oh,
that
that's
is
great.
cute.
I went to did the GoFundMe. I
Wonderful.
got 50 of them. I passed some out to. I did like a certain amount to a domestic violence agency down here. I went to the courthouse to the court domestic violence liaison and gave some there, and I
Okay.
keep some with me. I've handed them out time just over time
Right.
to the kids that if I go to the house for domestic violence, or if I just see some kids just come to the station or just out and about, I hand it to them. Just to let them know
Right.
everything's gonna be okay.
Awesome.
Because I've noticed that the once if they have something positive out of that situation, they tend to hold on
Mm-hmm.
to it, and remember that.
Right.
That would they can find comfort in that. I'm hopefully to do that again. Well, no, hopefully I'm going to do it again this year.
Okay.
I told you I was a writer. I wrote a movie. I wrote film, shot it, all that. A domestic violence film. It was the story about what happened to my sister. Well,
Okay.
loosely about what happened to her. The way the
Mm-hmm.
person dies in the film is exact identical to what happened to my sister. Everything else is kind of written there. Um, I'm just pushing. I'm just pushing. Hopefully, finally get my nonprofit up and running this year. It's just been busy with other things. You can hear in the background my oven's going off. I'm doing a lot of baking and stuff on the side as well.
Good to stay
So
busy.
yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
stay busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you will have to let us know, and definitely, even with what you're doing, the cheesecakes, we got to get something. We got to get something going to promote those cheesecakes, so you can get your cause and stuff taken care of, and definitely, the pause for a cause and the movie. You can put that information out over in the chat box or something, so that
Yeah,
we
I'm
could
actually
go
putting
ahead.
it in right now. Y'all can see it.
Yeah.
I would really like for y'all to take a look at the film. It's a full feature length film. Um, and I think it was written pretty well. I shot it again on a very, very, very tight budget. Uh, I just put it up. You guys should be able to see it.
Okay.
That's the name of the
Great.
movie on chat. Let me go turn this up.
Cheesecake now. I have
Yeah.
to.
Sorry about that. But yeah, the movie is called The Cowboy's Dream, and
Okay.
I just put it in the
What is
chat
it
so y'all
on?
should see it. It's on YouTube. It's the full version is on
Okay.
YouTube.
It's
You
on
can see it.
YouTube.
Countless
Yeah.
dream.
Huh?
Okay.
You said
The
What's it called?
Cowboys.
countless dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you
I'm going to.
click the chat button, you should see you should see I put the name in there
Oh, okay.
on your end.
Okay. I see it.
I'm going to
I said
connect it. I'll
countless
connect
dream.
it.
Yeah, Cowboy's Dream.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Good for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I
Thank
think it's great for everybody out there who's making a difference, who's helping
Oh,
people.
Yes.
yeah.
We need more people.
you. I'm trying to get more men involved. There's a few guys that are involved. But I'm trying to get more men involved. Oh, I have a idea that I want to push to the lawmakers. I'm trying to use the resources that I have to work it out. Whereas to make it a little easier for people like us and like you, Ava, that help relocate people. For it's a bill that I want to get passed. Well, a law try to get it amended where you, victims of domestic violence and agencies here in this state, at least, we can start off with. They can have their windows tinted as dark as need be without getting fined or pulled over for it. Because I think that's just a start to where I'm really trying to ultimately go. But you're trying to make a emergency exit. You don't want anybody seeing in the car or who's riding with you, or if you had to sit outside of the street of somebody's house for a little while. The abuser ride past. You
Right.
don't want to know who's in the car. You know.
Privacy. It's a privacy thing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's a privacy thing. So I'm working on that. Try to figure out how to get this going. Just so that it won't be when the police will run the tag or something like that, an alert will come up, let them know that is a domestic violence vehicle, and
Right.
they can either check on them, make sure they're okay, or just they can carry on without being the fear of being fined for having their
Mhm.
Okay.
windows too dark or something like that.
Yeah.
It may sound small
Wonderful.
right now, but in the long run, I think it'll definitely play out to be something that could be great. You know.
Let me say this, that nothing is too small, because the small things are what greatly matters with a lot of victims.
Yeah.
Sometimes people aren't paying attention to those small things that they need.
Right.
So,
You're right.
but thank you. Let me know. Let us know. Put that information out there too. If you have anything for any petitions or anything that you're looking to sign, so that we can put it out there and share it, and have individuals to go on and sign it, to participate in it.
Also, again,
Okay.
I'm starting to think of things. I'm tired to keep talking. I'm sorry, but I,
No.
a
No,
couple of
it's
years
good.
back, I put out a petition on the Change.org thing. I mean, it didn't really. A few people signed it, but it was to have the month, domestic violence month, changed. My thought process behind it was it's in October, so it's breast cancer.
Mhm.
Breast cancer
Yes,
awareness
that's the
is
biggest
greatly
problem.
overshadowing it. You know,
Yeah,
it's greatly. A lot of
that's
people to
true.
this day still don't know it's domestic violence month is in October
They
Right,
don't.
because
right.
the
October.
push, the money behind breast cancer awareness, the push of that is tremendous,
Yeah.
Mhm.
crazy.
It
You
is.
know, so
It
my
is.
thinking was,
And
okay,
it
you know what?
pushes it out.
We can. I was trying to get it pushed. You have that. I researched it and everything. You have to have an act of Congress to do it. So I was thinking, try to get it put in May. Had domestic violence awareness put in May because the majority of victims are females. So I wanted to kind of associate it with caring. You know, we all care about our mothers. So
Yeah.
in the month of May is Mother's Day, and just associate the whole thing with caring. It'll be something that people can constantly think about.
I think
You
that's
know
a
what I
good
mean?
idea.
So I was thinking about trying
Yeah.
to get another petition or get something pushed back for that again. Eventually, try to get that worked out. But that was just a
Yeah,
thought. I tried it once. I
definitely
had a
is.
few signals, but I didn't get enough for it to even be considered. So
Yeah, well, put it out there. I mean, because a lot of people are quite aware of it. We all know that breast cancer awareness completely overshadows domestic violence awareness month.
Hmm.
So that's something to put out there. Put that information out there. We will actually support it and push and get other individuals to sign for it.
I'll sign it.
hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
I would definitely sign it.
I
I've been
would
trying to
too.
get
We
domestic
know.
violence month changed for the longest. And
Yes.
you're
Yes,
saying May, and that really sounds good to me listening to what you're saying about May, because we were pushing for September just so
Right.
it'll be taken away from October. But I
Right.
totally agree with what you're saying about May.
Right.
Yeah, the
hmm
name too, May. I think it's good.
Yeah.
May.
May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah.
it's just a
Absolutely.
thought.
Well, Karen, tell me about any projects that you have coming up with your organization. I know
I
that
have
right now you're on hold, but
Yes. We do something every year called a Purple Gala. But before I tell you about
mhm,
that Purple Gala, Rummy Rum, I want to let you know
Uh huh.
that Fatal Attraction did my daughter's story as well. So they did a movie on her.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, they did a movie on
TV one.
her. TV1, yes. But if
Yeah.
you go to my website on the very first page, we have the link so people can just click on it and watch the story about her. Although it upset me a little because it didn't let us know in that story that her abuser had a history of domestic violence. He had two cases in Chicago, then he had two cases in Texas, and then she was his fifth victim in Texas, but she was the only life he took. But that
Yeah.
made my brother mad that they said that in court that she was the only life they that he took, because my brother says no, she's the only life that we know about that he took.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
mhm,
That we know about.
yeah, yeah. So yep. If you get a chance, you watch that. But I'm gonna be sure to watch yours and share your YouTube with everybody I know, and I will
Appreciate it.
put that up on my website that I want people to watch
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Um,
Yes.
I need your website link so I can go check it out.
theangelhouse.org.
Theangelhouse.org.
Could I just let me see? I'll see if I can
Can you
put
put
it
it
in.
in the chat?
I don't know, y'all. I don't know how to do all this stuff.
Yeah,
I
this is
see.
my first time live, so
No,
You
I
said
don't.
the
Okay.
I don't. No. Mm-mm. I'll send it to
Okay,
Ava
I'll
and
tell you what,
Ava.
it's the Angel House. Hold up.
I just did it.
Uh-oh. Hold up. Where'd she go? Did she knock herself out? Uh-oh.
Yeah, she deleted. She knocked herself out.
is she in the chat?
No,
Uh-oh.
she's all the way off.
It's not gonna let her back in.
It should. And she clicked the link.
Oh, here she is. Okay.
I told you I
We're
shouldn't be messing with
back.
buttons.
Oh, she didn't believe herself.
I really shouldn't be messing with buttons. But anyway, I have a purple gala every year. And the
Okay.
Purple Gala is always the first the first Friday in October. And I have guest speakers come from different states that's going through domestic violence so they can speak about their stories. So I would love to have you all come to a Purple Gala.
I'd love to.
Okay. And you said,
So yeah,
oh,
you all keep on checking me out to find out what we're doing here. But my biggest goal is to get connected with other states so I can continue to send women to them and to raise enough money for me to get a shelter here in Michigan to bring women from other states here for them to start a fresh new life.
Karen, will you
mm-hmm.
send me on Break Free with Emily if you follow me and send me a private message on where to donate? I'd love for that. I'd love to donate and help.
Okay, now tell me that again. What did you just say?
If you could follow me on Instagram
Okay.
and send me a message of where to donate for your cause, I'd really appreciate. I really want to donate and help out.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. Now
Yes,
you said it's Emily what on Instagram?
it's Break Free with Emily. Just
Oh,
You
like
see,
break
you
free
see
with
what her
Emily.
name
Okay.
is? You see her name up there? It's the
Yeah, I see
same
it now.
thing.
Break free with
Yeah.
Emily. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But
Yes.
yeah, we have to get together. We have to stay connected. That's the
yes,
biggest problem. I've had
Absolutely.
people from Mississippi and Alabama and California come to Michigan and speak about what they've gone through for domestic violence. I've even had people from Georgia and Washington come and speak about their domestic violence. Um, and it's just we have to stay connected because if we
yes,
don't stay connected, we cannot stay strong. That's how we
yeah.
stay strong. Because I ask that it be a purple gala in a different state every year.
That would be
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yes, just like I have it here in
Yeah.
Michigan. And what did you say you're at, Emily?
I'm in Vancouver, Washington.
So we should be going to
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver, Washington next
Yes.
year. And where are you at, Ava?
And Maryland.
And so the
Oh, okay.
following year, we should be in Maryland going to the Purple Gala. It should be a different state every October so that we can meet each other. We can link up with one another.
Yes,
We
I'd love
can
that.
network with one another. Yeah. So
Exactly.
Absolutely.
once I do
Absolutely.
mine again here this year, I will be inviting all of you all and praying that you can attend because I can't afford to pay for everybody to come. So just know every year in October. So start saving your money. But this year we had to put the Purple Gala on hold because we didn't know what to do with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
There's still a
Yeah.
lot of
So
places staying closed. So
yeah. So we'll do it again next October
Good.
of
okay.
21.
Great.
21. Yes.
Great. Well, most definitely. Well, I thank you all first of all for coming and sharing your stories and telling us about what you all are doing and how you have overcome with your pain. Actually, with domestic violence is not easy, but it is something that you can accomplish. And a lot of people think just because they experience domestic violence that there is no way out. There is a way out.
Yes.
You
There is a light at
can
the end of the
have a
tunnel.
successful
Yeah.
life. You can overcome it. You don't have to be stuck in it. I know it's
Hmm.
hard. It's not an easy road, but you can obtain a fresh start. I
Yes.
thank you all who have joined us tonight on, excuse me, on Pain the Power. I so greatly appreciate it. I hope that you all have gained some information and some insight. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us as well on info at Pain the Power Talk.com and bring your questions. I know individuals may be afraid. You may not want to put it on a platform, but if you want to do it anonymously, feel free to contact us. We are really about sharing information, how individuals overcome, really talking about relationships and things of that nature to help individuals know that there are other ways that we can go about with having a healthier and more productive relationship. And if you're not in a relationship that is not healthy, that you can walk away, that there are individuals that are out here that are willing to assist you in doing whatever it is that you need to get to the area of first of a safe haven, and then to help you, as we state, and with my organization, to escape, heal, rebuild, and thrive. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Quite surely, we know that the abuse did not start overnight. And it is something that you're going to have to rebuild. And when you do begin to heal, it's not an overnight process, it's not a monthly process. It is a process that is a lifetime healing that you will continue to do. So I thank you all tonight. Be safe, be healthy, and once again, I just tell you, if you need help, if you need someone to talk to, reach out. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you. All
Thank
Thank you,
you.
thank you,
Hmm.
thank you.
right.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay. Okay, Nick. All righty, all right. Rome, thank you. Look, you didn't even tell me about that. You're gonna have to